Peace to the 12, man. Sorry for my hiatus. I've been trying to recover from a health injury. But anyway, y'all see the title, man. Ancient and Modern Hebrews. Ancient and Modern Hebrews, right? And in this video in specifics, we're going to be looking up on the Hebrews and their hair texture as well as their hair color. This was originally going to be a small video, but I ended up with 200 slides because I decided to go ahead and go into the complexion. I also went ahead and went into the scriptures like I always do. And I even got some references from the Talmud, which I don't believe. But I'm going to use the Talmud, which is a source that a certain community views as credible, in this video as well. And this video was really inspired by a comment that I saw on Pinterest. Which, by the way, a lot of good things on Pinterest. You rather should check it out. You can find a lot of good book sources from Pinterest that somebody will post. You can look it up, right? Like, I think this, I already had this book, though. I think she was quoting, what's that book called? Babylon and Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor, right? But anyway, so this guy made a comment on the sister's post. Her name was Hermina Shabazz. And this guy named Shane, he says, Abraham's Sarah, his half-sister, is described in Scripture as white and lovely. That's a lie. She's not described in the Scriptures as white and lovely. And white, full breasts and white, shapely thighs. If you want to know what Abraham looked like, look up the standard of Ur from the royal tomb of Ur. People were light-skinned Asian people with sharp features and straight hair, right? This is what he said. He says, this is all bunk. They have found light-skinned, blue-eyed blondes in Israel. From 6500 BC, DNA, the Canaanites had the same patterns of DNA. The Israelites and the Hebrews were a Caucasoid race of people proven by archaeology, paleontology, linguistics, history, and science. That's not even proven. As a matter of fact, even rabbis will tell you that the original Hebrews were brown-skinned people. And on top of that, they for sure didn't have blonde hair, which I'm actually going to prove that in this video, which was the beginning of this lesson. So let's get into that, right? So for those that don't know, and this is a thing I think people should bring up more often, because he said that the Hebrews had straight hair and blonde, straight blonde hair. What people need to understand is the scriptures tells you straight up in the Bible, it tells you that all the Hebrews, right, all the Israelites during the time of the Exodus had black hair. And I don't think people bring this up enough, because they should. But all the Hebrews had black hair. How do we know that they had black hair? Well, when you go to Leviticus 13, and you read about the laws of leprosy, I'm going to get 37 real quick. We go to Leviticus 13 and 37. It says, but if the skull be in his sight at a state, and that there is black hair grown up therein, the skull is healed. He is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. So when black hair was grown on the scalp of the skull, then the person was perceived as clean. Why does it say black hair in specifics? That means what? That at the time, all the Israelites had to have had black hair. That's why this law was the reference point, right? And also, let me say this real quick. Some people are going to bug out. No, this does not mean that if you have red hair now or whatever your hair color is, it doesn't mean that you're not an Israelite, because it goes off of the seed line. Our people have been intermixed, yada, yada, yada. I've done videos on that. So I just want to say that. But originally, of the original stock, the Israelites had black hair. Now, let's prove that some more through the scriptures, right? And just to say, that's not just in the King James Version. Other versions, it says the same thing. Black hair is grown in it. Black hair is grown on it. Black hair is grown in it. Black hair is grown in it. It's healed, right? That means they all had black hair, right? It means they didn't have red hair. They didn't have brown hair. And they damn sure didn't have blonde hair. Because that guy, he said that they were Caucasoid, which is a lie. And he also said that they were blue-eyed blondes. Which makes no sense, because blonde hair, believe it or not, in the Bible, blonde hair is actually a sign of leprosy, right? And you don't believe me? Let's prove that. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 13 and verse 30, where it reads, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scald, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. Notice it says yellow thin hair, right? You go to Leviticus 13 and 32, it says it again. And if the seventh day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not a sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall look on, or Leviticus 13:36, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the skull be spread in the skin, the priest shall not see, For yellow hair he is unclean. So yellow thin hair is a sign of uncleanness, right? What does it mean by yellow? Yellow of hair, yellow, light gold, yellow hair, right? Yellowish, right? Other versions, Leviticus 13 and 30. Yellow hair on it, fine yellow hair, thin yellow hair, yellow hair. So this is a sign of leprosy, and it was unclean, right? As a matter of fact, we look at the color blonde. What does the word blonde look etymologically? What does etymology mean? Origin of the word origin. If you go to etymology, blonde, fair, blonde, 12th century, yellow, right? Latin, flavus, yellow. So that's yellow hair, right? Etymology, spelling and grammar. Blonde, from the medieval Latin blundus, meaning yellow. Yellow, right? Blonde, of hair, fair or pale yellow. You see that? Yellowish color. Yeah, so yeah, sign of leprosy. And people can say, well, that can't be talked. They couldn't have been brown skinned because the only people that have blonde hair are white, right? Wrong. All right, there are people that have black hair. The people of Oceania, like for example, there's people known as the Melanesians, right? The Melanesians are black, so-called black people with natural blonde hair. All right, the fascinating history of black people with naturally blonde hair. The Melanesians, as you can see, they have yellow hair, right? And their gene is even, the gene that causes their blonde hair is different from Europeans. Studies have shown. And these are the people of Oceania. They have yellow hair, right? And on top of that, the reason this law was passed is because people's hair can become yellow naturally as well, right? Check this out. Can African American hair be bleached? First of all, it has to be bleached several times because I believe it goes to like a reddish brown to like a light brown to blonde, right? I never bleached my hair, but I know brothers who have done it when I was in sports back in the day. But anyway, yeah, people's hair can become naturally bleached, right? Let me pull that up real quick, Salakia. Can hair lighten on its own? If you spend enough time in the sun, your hair will eventually become lighter on its own. Like I have a brother. My brother, whenever, and we're farmers, so whenever my brother is out in the sun for a long time, his hair becomes brown. His hair becomes brown, real light brown. Same thing happens with my mother, right? So sun can lighten your hair. Salt water can lighten your hair. Salt water and chlorine can lighten your hair, right? It can over time, the sun can turn your black hair to brown or lighter brown or even blonde, right? So it's a thing that can occur, right? So that's on the blonde hair tip. And let's prove some more that all the Israelites have black hair, right? Even up until the time of Hamashiach Yahawashi, who the world calls Jesus Christ, he makes the reference to black hair, right? You go to Matthew 5 and 56, Matthew 5 and 36, it reads, neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black, right? So it says you can't make one hair white or black. Why does it say white or black? Why is it not white or brown or white or blonde or white and red? Because even at the time of Christ, which his real name would be yahawashi, that shows you that the Israelites in mass, they had black hair. So that's why he said white or black, right? And just for reference point again, when the hair had black hair grown upon it, that means you didn't have a plague of leprosy upon your head. They all had black hair, which I don't think people bring this up enough, but it's important. And once again, blonde hair is a form of leprosy. Let me prove that again before I continue on. Yellow hair, thin yellow hair, that is a sign of leprosy according to the Bible. Now we're going to go to hair type, right? Meaning hair texture. How is the hair described in the scriptures? Well, let's go to Song of Solomon 5 and 11, which reads, his head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. So it says his locks are bushy and black as a raven. Another source proving that they had black hair. Also, it says his locks were bushy. What's the texture of bushy hair? The texture of bushy hair is the texture of an afro, right? All you got to do is type in an afro. It says full bushy hairstyle. That's according to the etymology, right? An afro, a black style, all right? The afro of African ancestry. Let's get other versions of this. Song of Solomon 5:11. His head is as the most fine gold, his locks are bushy and black as a raven. Let's get other versions. Right? Song of Solomon 5:11, other versions. It says his hair is wavy and black as a raven, right? Now, in these other versions, it says, it'll either say wavy, or it'll say his locks are like clusters of dates. But they all say that their hair is black as a raven, clusters of dates. And I actually have a picture of the Israelites proving that they had afros in a minute. We'll get that in a minute. But it says their hair was like clusters of dates. Well, these are clusters of dates, and this is a black person with a certain hairstyle. They look like clusters of dates. Here's a black woman. Here's clusters of dates. Locks like clusters of dates, right? We go to Revelation chapter 1 and 14. It also gives you the hair texture of yahawashi, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This is Revelation chapter 1, verse 14, which reads, his head and his hairs were white like wool, meaning what? His facial hair was white, as well as his top hair was white. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Right? Other versions, his hair was like white wool. His hair like the purest wool. In Daniel 7 and 9, when he saw the Ancient of Days, which would be the Most High, it says his hair was like the purest wool. The hair of his head was like lamb's wool. So it says like lamb's wool, meaning what? He had woolly hair, white hair, woolly hair. The word like meaning having the same characteristics as lamb's wool, right? So he would have had hair something like this, right? Like wool, right? As a matter of fact, the word nappy, because a word that they say, sometimes it's derogatory, sometimes it's not, that they say for a black person's hair, they say the word nappy. Well, did you know that nappy hair actually was originally applied to sheep's wool? This is Samuel Johnson's dictionary, 1773 edition. This is the word nappy. It says nappy or nap. Frothy spummy, called lamb's wool. All right, it was applied to lamb's wool. Nappy, right? Nappy, especially used in colloquial or derogatory reference to the hair of black people. It was also used of sheep. See that? Right? And like I said, in Daniel 7 and 9, it says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. So his hairs were like pure wool, like a sheep's wool, right? Woolly hair. Now, that being said, I actually have a reference point written by a so-called Jewish man, an Israel art historian, Bezalel Narkis. He wrote a book called Pictorial History of Jewish Civilization, and he's going to show you what the Israelites look like. These are the Israelites, brown to dark brown skin, black afro-like hair. This is an afro bushy hairstyle, right? Here's more pictures of the same book. Shout out to Aliyah. This is the black hair, the afro. All right, this guy might have a pick in his afro. I'm not sure. This is the black hair, the afro, right? And this guy might have leprosy hair, or it might be a headband he's got on or something. I don't know. But they have afros, clear as day. And he says that these are the Israelites in this book, Picture History of Jewish Civilization. This is during the time of Egypt, right? As well as this study that was made by these archaeologists called With and Without Straw, how Israelite slaves made bricks. As you can see, they're brown-skinned people, right? And I guess their heads were shaved because they couldn't have had brown hair. We know the Israelites had black hair. I proved it earlier. And all these people that were archaeologists and did this study were Caucasians, mostly Caucasian Jewish people, right? Silverstein, Littman, and Lorenzon, right? And it says right here, Nubian and Semitic slaves mix water and mud to create mud bricks. Yeah, they say that some of these are Nubians. I think they're all just Israelites. But anyway, as you can see, the woolly black hair, right? If that wasn't enough evidence, we'll go to the Lachish reliefs. We go to the Lachish reliefs. For those of you that know what the Lachish reliefs are, it's an Assyrian palace relief. And this is the victory over the kingdom of Judah in 701 BCE, right? So we're about to see what the Judeans look like, all right? The ancient Jews, right? We go to Siege of Lachish, 701 BCE. Let's see what it says. Or let's see what they look like. These are the Assyrians right here, and these are the Jews or the Judeans, the people of Judah, right? Losing to the Assyrians. You might not see it right now, but right now they have woolly hair and woolly beards, right? They have afros. As a matter of fact, someone made the comment, a writer, a divine and a scholar born in London, Edward Plumtree, was born in 1821. He made a statement that said their hair was akin to the Ethiopian type. Let's prove that. Let's go to his book, Edward Plumtree, his book, Assyrian and Babylonian Inscriptions and Their Bearing on the Old Testament Scriptures. We're going to go to page 448, which reads, "It is significant that the captives are for the most part represented as having woolly hair, as though they had belonged to the Ethiopian army of Tirhakah." So the captives, which would be the Judeans, the people of Judah, they had woolly hair as though they were Ethiopians, right? You can actually read about Tirhakah in the Bible as well. He was the Ethiopian king. Now, he says that they had Ethiopian hair, all right? Woolly hair, right? Like an afro, like sheep hair. Well, this guy, he tells you that those people might have had that hair, but they were definitely Jews. This is Sir Austin Henry Laird. He was an Assyriologist born in 1817. All right, he was an art historian. All right. In his book, Discovery in the Ruins of Nineveh and Babylon, page 129, he says the captives were undoubtedly Jews. Their physiognomy was strikingly indicated in the sculptures. So they had the woolly hair, man. All right. And it had to have been black hair. As a matter of fact, here's a close-up on the Assyrian relief of the Hebrews in captivity. And this is a mid-century African Roman bronze head sculpture in Austria, 1950. Look at the hair of the sculpture. Look at the hair of the Hebrews on this relief, right? Same exact hair texture, right? This is a Moor in 1500, Sarson's head. This is a Blackamoor sculpture. They have the same hair texture as these Assyrian relief, right? Woolly hair, right? And even then, they did an anthropology thing, because that guy mentioned anthropology as well. Actually, there was a bioarchaeological analysis of cultural transition in the southern Levant using non-metric traits. And they found that the graves of the people in Judea, the graves of the people were akin to a North African Egyptian or a Nubian, thus lending support of an Egypto-Nubian presence, right? What is a Nubian? A Nubian in America is synonymous with the blackness in Africa, but Nubia is talking about Lower Egypt, also part of Sudan, right? And this is what the Nubians look like. Nubia, these are the Nubian people. They're black. All right, so there's that. Now we're going to touch on Sarah in a minute. Let's go back to the comment, because he says the scriptures say that Sarah had white and lovely. The scriptures don't say that at all. That's actually from the Talmud, which I'll get in a minute. But the Bible don't say that. So it says Sarah was white and lovely, white, full of breasts, yada yada, blue eyes. No, all right, no. But let's pull up Sarah. Let's prove that the scriptures don't say that she was white or that she had straight hair or any of that, right? So her original name was Sarai, as you can see, and none of these do they say that she had white skin. I'm trying to find the one where it says she was fair, right? Let's go to Genesis 12 and 11, because nowadays people try to assert fair with white, like they'll say, "Oh, that guy's fair skinned," but fair really means beautiful, right? But that's their way of subconsciously trying to put white means beautiful and black means ugly, right? But let's go to this, right? Let's go to Genesis 12 and 11 about Sarah. It says, "And it came to pass when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarah his wife, Behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon." All right, so it's a fair woman. That doesn't mean she was fair skinned. Matter of fact, we click on this word fair. The word is yapah, right? Which means fair, beautiful, handsome. Beautiful, beauty, comely, fair, goodly, pleasant, well. Has nothing to do with her skin complexion. All right, that's why skin complexion isn't mentioned, used of a person's, both men and women. It's talking about they were beautiful, right? Gorgeous. Nowadays, what do they say? They say fair skin. All that means pale skin and pale complexion, which is just another way of them asserting that, oh, pale skin means beautiful skin, right? Oh, pale complexion means beautiful complexion, right? That's just a form of brainwashing you into believing that, yes, white is right, right? That's why, and because they've been brainwashed to believe that white means beautiful, that's why they say fair skin. So you associate fairness with lighter tones. That's why you got people like Sammy Sosa who damn bleach their skin to make themselves look like Bob Hope, or Nicki Minaj bleach her skin, right? Look at that. Madness. With the blonde hair as well. Right? Skin whitening. It's a serious epidemic. All right? Skin whitening. In number of African countries, between 25 and 80% of women regularly use skin whitening products, right? So they've all been brainwashed into thinking that white is right, so they got to try to bleach their damn skin, right? In India, over half of the skincare products are sold to whiten skin. 40% of Asia whitens their skin, right? That's all part, once again, brainwashing you. White is right, right? That's what they try to brainwash you into believing. In India, right? They have an obsession with lighter skin. This is a model. Lakshma Min's dark skin makes her more sought after abroad, while actress Sonam Kapoor's pale complexion endears her to Indian advertisers, right? So they want it to make you look with that whitish skin, right? Look, they've even done YouTube videos on it. Vice News, all of them, they've done it. How obsessed are Indians with fair skin? The booming skin bleaching business in India. India is obsessed with fair skin. India's fair skin business, right? I even did some research. It says in 2014, a marketing study shows that almost 90% of Indian girls cite skin lightening as a high need. That's 90%. That's crazy, right? And they lighten their skin, right? Even though the Indians of original of India, they were very dark skinned. Like when you look up the Dravidians, all right, let me pull them up real quick because I didn't include them. I don't believe. Let me type that in. Bear with me 1 second. Dravidians. When you look up the Dravidian people, and these are people of South India, and they used to have a wider range of territory, but they got pushed further southwards. But let's go. Where was that? You look up the Dravidians. Look at these dark complexions, right? These are Dravidian women of India. Very dark complexion. They're all darker than me, and I'm a so-called black man, right? But I'm what they call light skinned. Anyway, in Marco Polo, he tells you that these people, even though they whiten their skin now, they actually used to make their skin darker by choice. Marco Polo, a merchant from Venice, Italy, born in 1254. This is a long time ago. In his book, in his travels, the travels of Marco Polo, he cites that in India, it says, it's talking about St. Thomas going to India. He says, where are we at? For when boys or girls are born in this province, you must know that they are born black. See that? But not so black as they make themselves afterwards. All right, they make themselves afterwards. It says, because it is true that when an infant is born, it is born fair, but they anoint him once every week with sesame oil, and that is how they make them become more black than they were by a great deal. Right? He who is more black is more precious than the others. So the people of India actually used to blacken themselves, according to Marco Polo, right? And this is, I believe he was quoting St. Thomas. I believe he was quoting Thomas the Apostle, if I'm not mistaken, because they say he traveled in the regions of India. And they even had a black goddess, or they have several black goddesses. I just included one. I mean, they're all fake gods, pagan gods, which are no gods, false gods, but they're heathenistic gods. They have many black ones, right? There's a black Shiva. There's a black Kali of India, right? It says depicted as dark-skinned. And of course, I'm not supporting that because go to Exodus 20:1. It tells you plainly, it says, and God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord, yahawah thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven or above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For the Lord, yahawah thy God, am a jealous God, visiting iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So we're not supposed to make any damn idol statues, right? But that was the point I was making, right? So they brainwash people into believing that fair skin is right skin. That's why they do it in India. All right, the Africans do it. The African diaspora does it, so-called African diaspora. They do it. Jamaicans bleach their skin. 2.8 million Jamaican people bleach their skin, right? Look at this, madness. right? 77% of Nigerian women bleach their skin. 59% in Togo, they bleach their skin, right? Because they have been brainwashed into thinking that. All right, you got all these damn celebrities, damn Lil Kim, whoever this is. I don't be keeping up with these celebrities, but they damn bleach their skin. Rihanna, right? So you got the Africans and the so-called black people, the Israelites abroad. And no, not all Africans are Israelites because you have Hamites in Africa, duh, right? But you got Hamites bleaching their skin. You got Israelites bleaching their skin. You got people of India bleaching their skin. The Chinese people, guess what? Same thing. All right, these are dark-skinned Chinese people. But guess what? They got the same thing. They wear things like face keenies, right? Face keenies to keep them out of the sun. They don't want to get their skin darker. Looking like damn putty ninjas from Power Rangers, right? In Japan, same thing, right? In Japan has dark-skinned people. But guess what? All right, this is a picture of Japan, right? And they got this brother with the afro. You see that? But this is in the 1870s in Japan. Meanwhile, look, now they all have lighter skin, right? And they also wear the sun masks and stuff. Meanwhile, at the same golf event that they wore the sun mask, yeah, so-called white people just out there golfing. They were trying to get a tan. You know, so-called white people, they always try to get a tan. You know, I'm from Texas. And these people burn themselves to death getting a tan where I'm from. They be out there all day getting sunburnt, right? They even made the so-called mixed girl, the black woman, Naomi Osaka. When they made her an anime, they made her light-skinned. You see that? Right? And we're going to get on anime in a minute. Right? And the Japanese lighten their skin. They use cosmetics to stop their melanin production. Right? And all you got to do is look up the Japanese culture and their obsession with white skin. All right? That's why Naruto has blonde hair, blue eyes. That's why Goku has blonde hair, green eyes. Right? That's why every damn anime character, pretty much, is a so-called white man. Right? Meanwhile, you have people in Japan. They all look like so-called white people. And notice most of their characters don't have epicanthal folds either. It's like they're ashamed of themselves, right? What is the epicanthal fold? The skin fold of the upper eyelid covering the inner corner of the eye. They don't even give these people Asian eyes, right? And also, Japan used to have black gods as well. This is a painted silk scroll, King Fudo Muyo, the black-skinned wisdom. 710. This is Gobujo, black skin. The Yakuza, they paint their so-called black god with black skinned god on their backs. And as you can see, look at this guy. Look at the nose, the lips, right? But anyway, so you got the Japanese people, whether it's in Japan or China or really anywhere, Africa diaspora, the Israelites, India, they all bleach their skin because once again, so-called white men is brainwashed people into believing that white makes right. Right? And that really goes into the scriptures where it says that everyone is trying to go act like Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great is America, which is ruled by the so-called white man. Jeremiah 51:7 reads, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Right? Then you go to Revelations 14:8. It says, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine and wrath of her fornication. So all nations drink after the philosophies and doctrines of the so-called white man, right? All the nations have drunken the wine and they have become mad. All right, imagine being ashamed of your own skin color that you bleach your skin, right? And that's in Revelation 13:3 as well. It says, and I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. Right? So all the world wandered after the beast. And when it says beast, it's talking about a kingdom. You read about that in Daniel. Let's prove that. When it says the beast represents a kingdom. What kingdom is that? Babylon the Great. What is Babylon the Great? America. What is America ruled by? The so-called white man. If you go to Daniel 7:23, let's prove that a beast is the kingdom. Daniel 7:23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom. The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread down and break it in pieces. We already know who devoured the whole earth. If you don't, we'll find out in a minute. But this is that fourth beast. So when you go back to Revelations 13 and 3, it says all the world wandered after the beast. That means all the world wandered after that kingdom. All the world wanders after the so-called white man. Right? Now, and let's just prove that even further. It says that fourth beast shall be a kingdom. Well, it really the fourth beast is a world power. Because in the New Living Translation, it says the fourth beast is the fourth world power that shall devour the whole world. Right? World power. Now let's pull this up real fast, and then I'll come back to the Babylon thing. Did I not include it? Dang, I don't think I included it. Dang, I don't think I included it, man. That's my bad. Oh, I did include it. The top world power. I googled the top world power. It says the United States. Global power is a character by various dimensions. The United States remains the world's most powerful nation. So the world power. All right. And once again, that world power is the last beast. Last beast is the king ruled by the so-called white man, which is America. Now let's prove that America is Babylon the Great as well. Let's prove that real quick. I've done videos on it, but let's prove it real quick. You go to Psalms chapter 137, verse 7. It says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall it be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. All right, so the children of Edom, the Edomites, are known as the daughters of Babylon, right? And the Edomites are the so-called white man. Did a video on that, you know. So you can go watch that. It wasn't that long ago. Anytime you see the daughter of Babylon, it's talking about the children of Edom, right? As a matter of fact, even when you Google it and you say who is the daughter of Babylon on Google, it'll say America, all right? Which means the daughter of Babylon is ruled by who? It means be ruled by the Edomites, the children of Edom. It says America, the daughter of Babylon deals with the prophetic future of the United States of America. The Bible reveals that there will be a second nation of Babylon, which is described in detail throughout the scripture and can be identified as America. Right? So it can be identified as America. Revelation 17 and 1. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Once again, the great whore, that's America. And what does it mean it sits on many waters? Meaning it's overseas, meaning it's everywhere. Right? That goes back to Daniel. And Daniel, where it said they shall devour the whole earth. Right? Devour the whole world. That's talking about the children of Edom, the fourth beast, the daughter of Babylon. And it says the great whore sits on many waters. Well, what country is the most overseas? Meaning sitting on many waters. Like we go to another country, they say, I'm overseas, or they say I'm across the pond. When we go overseas, the United States is the country that's the most overseas. The United States, for instance, has more than 750 military bases across 80 countries and has deployed nearly 175,000 soldiers in 159 countries of the world. See that? And overseas means into a foreign country, especially one across the sea. And the United States, once again, has the most military bases all around the world. Habakkuk 2 and 5 speaks on this as well. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, it cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. He transgresseth by wine, that's talking about his doctrines. I did a video on this already. He's a proud man, absolutely. This devil is super proud. He's never at home. He's got military bases all over the damn place. He's not in Mount Seir. He enlarges his desire as hell, meaning he's as the grave. Hell means the grave, and the grave never runs out of bodies. So he's just going to keep trying to expand himself. All right? And he gathers onto him all nations. That's why he's in South Africa. He's not from there. He's in America. He's not from here. South America. He's not from here. Australia. He's not from there. You know, the list goes on. So when you read about Babylon in Revelations, that's talking about America. I proved that already. Anytime you read about Babylon, it's talking about the daughter of Babylon ruled by the Edomites. Now let's go back. That was kind of me going on a tangent there. Now let's go back to the skin complexion. I don't even know what made me get there. Oh, it's because these nations walk after these nations walk after the beast. That's why I went there. So sorry about that. But anyway, now we're going to go to the Talmud, which is a central text of rabbinic Judaism. primary source of Jewish religious law and Jewish theology. Do most Jews believe the Talmud? All Jewish communities during the Gaonic era formally accepted the Babylonian Talmud as binding upon themselves. So they view it as very credible. Since the Talmud is one of the most important holy books of the Hebrew religion and of the world. I wouldn't say of the Hebrew religion, but I'll say it's of the modern Judaism, right? And me, myself, no, I do not believe in the Talmud. But let's go to the Talmud to prove that Sarah, or to prove that that's where they get the fact that they say Sarah had white skin. And let's also use the Talmud to prove that the Hebrews were black or brown-skinned people, really brown-skinned people, right? So let's go to Rabbi Rashi, right? Where they say black and repulsive people are the Ethiopians. Once again, there goes the racism, right? But let's go to Sarah in the Midrash in the Agada, right? So this is where it comes from. It comes from the Talmudic literature. Genesis 12 and 13. It says, those in Egypt was causing to be fearful. It may be concluded from the Midrashic appellation for Egypt, a place of ugly and the black. So this is a place of the ugly and the black. So he's saying that Egypt is ugly and black, more racism. And it says that Sarah was fair-skinned. So they get that from the Talmud, right? Other sources, they say ugly and the black, Egypt. Ugly and the black Egypt. Which they say the Egyptians are black, and they really harmed themselves, because when we go to the Bible, we know that Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian. We know that Joseph was mistaken for an Egyptian, as well as Paul. So if the Egyptians were black, what does that mean the Hebrews were? But anyway, it says a place of ugly and black, Sarah was fair skinned in contrast to the Egyptians. So that comes from the Talmud, not the Bible. Just wanted to put that in there. Bereshit Rabbah 40. It says ugly and swarthy people, meaning ugly and black, right? That's what they say. So that's where they get that from. This is the Genesis 12:11. It says black and ugly from the Midrash. They called the Egyptians black and ugly. It means they said the Egyptians were black, which they were. I've done videos on that as well. But really, you done messed up. Because if the Egyptians were black and ugly, you done messed up. And that goes to Job 15 and 6. They condemn themselves. It's Job 15 and 6, which reads, thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I. Yea, thine own lips testify against thee. Right? Their own lip condemns them. Because Gerald Friedlander also says that they're black. This is another rabbi. He also says that the children of Ham, meaning the Egyptians and the Canaanites, were black. This is according to him, because he says, this is chapter 24, Eleazar 24. He says, Noah brought his sons and his grandsons, and he blessed them with their several settlements, and he gave them as an inheritance all the earth. He especially blessed Shem and his sons, making them dark but comely, and he gave them the habitable earth. He blessed Ham and his sons, making them dark like the raven. Right? Dark like the raven. Black like the raven. That's what it means. And he gave them as an inheritance to the coast of the sea. He blessed Japheth and his sons, making them entirely white. And he gave them for an inheritance of the desert and its fields. So, first of all, I've been debunked this whole thing. But, because Japheth is not the so-called white man. The original inhabitants of Europe were brown-skinned people. You look up the Minoans. Right? I've done a video on it. I ain't going to go too far into that. But, he says that Ham's sons were dark like the raven. Alright, which would mean the Egyptians, which would be Ham's sons, are dark like the raven. Right? Ham, and the word Ham is an Egyptian word that means black. The sons of Ham are Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. Right? So if they made them black like the raven, that would mean that all his sons were black. Right? Which goes back to this. And this is funny too. I don't think I mentioned this before. But when this guy said the Canaanites had the same DNA pattern as the Caucasoid race. So if the Canaanites are so-called white people, then where are the Canaanites at today? I would like to know, where are the Canaanites at today if the Canaanites are white? Right? That's why I get so mad about the Hannibal Carthage thing. I might do a video on the Carthaginians another time. But let's continue. So why did I bring that up? The sons of Ham, Mizraim. Mizraim is where you get Egypt. Right? The land of Egypt. Son of Ham. They said that the sons of Ham were black like the raven. They also said the sons of Shem, which is where you get the term Shemitic. It says the sons of Shem were dark but comely, meaning they were brown-skinned people. right? So the Shemites were brown-skinned people. So they cut themselves. But yeah, Egypt, and the word Egypt literally means the black land or land of the blacks. And they try to say, oh, it's because of the soil. No, that's not what it's talking about. It's because they were dark-skinned people. But and I say that because Abraham comes from the line of Shem, who was made dark and comely. And you go to Abraham, and Sarah's in that same line. So they would have been brown-skinned people, not no damn white-skinned people. Damn madness. So they cut on themselves using their own Talmud. And why does the complexion of the ancient Egyptians matter? Because they said he was black like the raven. Well, the reason that matters is because all throughout the Bible, Israelites were mistaken for ancient Egyptians, which means that the Israelites looked exactly like the ancient Egyptians, right? So let's go there. Moses. You go to Exodus 2 and 7. No, you go to Exodus 2 and 10. It says, and the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses, and she said, because I drew him out of the water. Right? And for Moses to be able to have blended in with the Egyptian society, once again shows you that they have the same complexion. You go to Exodus 2 and 15. It says, now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses, but Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water the father's flock. Now check this out. Exodus 2 and 17. The shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock. So they thought that Moses was an Egyptian. Meaning what? Moses looked like an Egyptian, right? And according to their own Talmudic literature, the sons of Ham, which would include Mizraim, were dark like the raven. That's according to their Talmudic literature. And if they thought Moses was an Egyptian, that means Moses had to have been dark like a raven. But really, Moses was brown skinned. You go to Joseph, they also mistook Joseph for an Egyptian. If you go to Genesis, right, when he got sold to the Ishmaelites. In Genesis 42, for those of you who don't know the story, you can read Genesis 37 for the context. But when we go to Genesis 42, and we'll go to verse 6, and it says, matter of fact, let's start at 3. Genesis 42 and verse 3. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt, right? So now we're going to go down to verse 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces. So all his brethren bowed down to him. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto him, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, whence came you? And some said, from the land of Canaan to buy food. So Joseph recognized his brothers, but they didn't recognize him. We go to Genesis 42 and 8. It says, and Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. So they just thought Joseph was an Egyptian, right? So that means Joseph had to look like an Egyptian. Paul was also mistaken for an Egyptian. You go to Acts chapter 21, verse 28. Excuse me, Acts 21, 38, which reads, art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days made us uproar and led us out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers? But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Sicilia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. So they thought that Paul was an Egyptian, right? So Paul had to have been brown to black skinned, right? And then we can look at the pharaohs as well, because we ask Google about the black pharaohs, they'll say not all of them are black, which is actually true because Egypt was conquered by multiple people. But they also like to say that, the only black pharaohs were the Cushite rulers of the 25th dynasty of Egypt. That's incorrect. They'll try to have people like this that say, see, look, we look like these guys. This is what all the Egyptians look like, which is simply incorrect, and you're hiding something. When we go to the busts of these pharaohs, it's very clear that they were black. This is Pharaoh Narmer of the first dynasty, the first ever pharaoh. He was an Egyptian pharaoh of the early dynastic period. In fact, this is a picture of Pharaoh Narmer, also known as King Menes. This is a picture of Mike Tyson. This is a picture of Pharaoh Narmer. All right, he's got the Negroid feature, so-called, right? This is from 4240 BC, right? And some people even think that Pharaoh Narmer was Nimrod himself, which it could be. But a lot of people think that. A lot of people think that Pharaoh was Nimrod, or Pharaoh Narmer was Nimrod. which would mean Nimrod goes back to the Ethiopians, which would still mean he was black. All right. And let me touch on that too while I'm talking about Nimrod, because Nimrod comes back to the Ethiopians. Let's prove that. It reads, and the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim and Phut and Canaan. Right? This is Genesis 10:6. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. So Nimrod comes through Cush. Right? For those who don't know, Cush or Cushi means the Ethiopian. Right? Cushi means a dark-skinned person of African descent. Cush means their blackness. And isn't it interesting that you had Israelites named Cushi and Cush, right? Which is a name for blackness. Isn't that interesting, right? I did a video on that. It was titled The Black Sons of God. Go check that one out. Now let's go back to the pharaohs, right? This is the second dynasty of Egypt. Pharaoh Neitneger, 2845 BC, his death date. This is Pharaoh Neitneger. This is the rapper KRS-One. Come on, man, load up. This is KRS-One. This is Pharaoh Neitneger. Look at this flattish nose, man. Right? Pharaoh Neitneger, KRS-One. Alright, even look at his hairstyle of Neitneger. That's a hairstyle that the Hamar tribe of Ethiopia still uses to this very day. Right? You go to in the Negroid features, they say are so-called flattish nose, flat, root of the nose, narrow ears, right? These are so-called these are so-called Negroid features, right? And Neitneger has them, right? You go to Pharaoh Khufu of the 4th dynasty. He's got the same flat-like nose, same ears as an African. This is Menkaure, 4th dynasty. All right, got the same hairstyle underneath this headdress as the Hamar tribe once again. You got Pharaoh Neferfre of the 5th dynasty. He's got waves in his hair, like the so-called black man puts in his hair to this day. And that shows you that Ecclesiastes 1:9 always reigns. There's no new thing under the sun. People have been rocking waves. Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath already been of old time, which was before us. So people have been wearing waves. That ain't nothing new. Ain't no new hairstyle. No new thing under the sun. You go to Niuser-Eni from the 5th dynasty. He also has a KRS-One light nose, man. Right? You know, and you can just keep going to these different pharaohs. Now, also, let's go back to the Talmud, right? The Talmud, according to Rabbi Ishmael, a guy born in the 1st century, all right, born 90 A.D., Rabbi Ishmael says that the Jews were not black or white, but they were brown-skinned. Let's prove that. The bright spot in German appears as dull white, and the dull white spot in Ethiopian appears as a bright white. Rabbi Ishmael says the children of Israel are like boxwood, neither black nor white, but an intermediate shade. Right? So he says that the children of Israel are like boxwood, neither black nor white, meaning they were brown-skinned, right? And black people come in different shades of brown, right? From light to dark brown. Now we can go to the skin tones and the skin colors according to the Holy Scriptures as well, right? Which I hold over the Talmud, obviously, right? First, let's go ahead and debunk the one that people are going to put in the comments, the white and ruddy. Song of Solomon 5:10, my beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest among 10,000. First of all, the ruddy is talking about a reddish brown skin. I'll prove that in a minute. And let's look at this word ruddy right here. It says the dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. So even the Hebrews, once again, they were dark-skinned. All right, and ruddy was not common. But even then, ruddy is talking about a reddish brown. And when it says my beloved is white, it's not talking about his skin color. It's talking about he's clean, he's bright. All right, he's glowing. Right? He's like a clean slate, like clear, plain, pure. That's why it says white, dazzling, glowing, clear, bright. That's why in other versions it says this one says my beloved is white and ruddy. Other versions says my beloved is dark and dazzling, radiant and ruddy, dazzling and ruddy. It's because it's not talking about his complexion, right? Real simple on that one. But nowadays, you type in ruddy, you get a ginger. A so-called white woman, that's a ginger. That's not what ruddy is. That's all lies. Let's prove that. This the word ruddy, right? This a ruddy cow, brownish red, reddish brown. This a ruddy horse, brownish red, light brown. It's a ruddy goat. Dark reddish red or reddish brown. Or excuse me, reddish brown. I keep saying reddish red. My bad. Ruddy person. Look at that. Yeah, that's a ruddy person. The dark-skinned Hebrews found good in a clear complexion, right? As a matter of fact, I can give you a source of a person calling an African tribe ruddy, right? Meaning what? They were reddish brown. This is Alan Howard Godby, a Methodist historian, teacher, scholar of the Old Testament and Hebrew history and archaeology and Semitics. He was born in 1864. He wrote a book called The Lost Tribes of Myth, right? Lost Tribes of Myth. He talks about one of the sons of Ham. Of Phut. He says Phut is the son of Ham. That is vassal of Egypt. Now the Fulas, who have pushed across Africa from Somaliland to Senegambia and the lower Niger, have this very tradition that they are the descendants of Phut, the sons of Ham. Right? Now he's going to say that the sons of Ham, now the Phut people, or they're going to be called, they call themselves the Pool, the Fool, plural, Poolby, Foolby, ruddy, clear brown people, right? Ruddy, clear brown people. So they had that ruddy, clear brown. Let's actually pull up what the Fulas people look like now. The Fulas, also known, the Fulbi people are also known as the Fulani people, right? The Fulani people, they have that clearish, reddish brown complexion. They are ruddy people, right? These are the Fulani people, ruddy people, right? Gerald Massey also talks about ruddy Africans in his book, A Book of Beginnings, Volume 1. Another guy born in the 1800s, born in 1828. He was into spiritualism in ancient Egypt. We go to page 17 of his book. He says, the red skin, similar to the complexion of the earliest men of the Minoans, is not an uncommon variety of Africans. Yeah, reddish brown skin Africans. Bowdrich asserts that the clear brownish red is complexion frequently found among the Ashantis. Right? So the African Ashantis, although deep black is the prevailing color. Right? There's even a singer known as Ashanti. She's ruddy. Right? I don't know if she bleached her skin or well, I don't know her background. But this is a red bone looking person, reddish brown, ruddy, Ashanti. American singer and actress. Right? These are the Ashanti people today. Some of them are still ruddy. Ruddy. You know? Ruddy people. As well as black skin people. Other tribes. You got the San people. They're reddish brown. The Hadza tribe, reddish brown. Alright, they even did studies on this. The varying skin colors of Africa, light, dark, and all in between, has shown that there's a huge amount of variation of skin color within Africa. Absolutely, right? This is a reddish brown person. They're the Hamar women of Ethiopia. Right? This is an Amhara woman from Ethiopia. Right? You got dark-skinned people. Right? Now let's get dark-skinned scriptures. That was me going on the ruddy tangent. Now let's get other holy scriptures on skin tone. Speaking of dark-skinned people. Right? Dark skin. Songs of Solomon 1 and 5. I am black but comely. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. So she's saying I'm black. See, they always say black is ugly, right? Well, why did they say I am black but beautiful? I am black but lovely. I am black and beautiful. Right? Songs of Solomon 1 and 5. Black. And she says, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. These are the tents of Kedar. The tents of Kedar are very dark. You know, black. Tents of Kedar. Songs of Solomon 1 and 6. Look not upon me because I am black. Because the sun had looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards. With my own vineyard have I not kept. So she was dark. She was black because of the sun, meaning she got darker in the sun. Black people tan in the sun as well. Look at the tan lines. Right? Black people tan in the sun as well. Alright? This is a picture of a woman from TikTok. This is her skin in the winter. Their skin in the summer. Same woman. Lamentations 5 and 10. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. The famine has blackened our skin. Our skin's black like an oven. Right? Job 30:30 speaks on that. My skin is black upon me and my bones are burned with the heat. Alright, my skin is black upon me and my bones are burned with heat. Right? Because the heat, what? Darkens your skin. And for black people, if you were light brown, it'll turn you dark. Herodotus. Right? Herodotus said that about the Egyptians. He was an historian. We go to his book, The Histories, Book 2, Section 22 by Herodotus. He says, the people dwelling there, the Egyptians, are black because of the heat. Salakia for that. the people dwelling there are black because of the heat. Yeah, sounds like that. My skin is black and my bones are burned with the heat. Same thing said in Job 30:30. That's what Herodotus said about the Egyptians. Then we go to the N word. The N word is actually in the Bible. The N word is in the Bible. You go to Acts chapter 13, verse 1. It says, "Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon that was called Niger, and Lucian of Cyrene, and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul." So Simeon was black or dark skinned. He was called the N word, right? And Simeon or Simon is a Hebrew name, means hearkening. And the word Niger, even in the Easton Bible Dictionary, look, Niger, black, a surname of Simon. He was probably so called from his dark complexion. He had a black complexion. And Niger means black. And Niger is really the N word, because you go to the Greek translation, it says Ni-ger. See that? Latin origin, black. Right? Straight up. And Niger later on became the N word. That's the infamous word that everybody says, right? Acts 13:1. Other translations, instead of Niger, it says Simeon or Simon, called the black man. The black. Right? Let's go to the skin color of who the world calls Jesus Christ. Real name yahawashi. Daniel 10:6. His body also was like the beryl, and his face is the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. So they saw his feet. Why? Because he was wearing sandals. You couldn't see most of his body, because back in the day, what did we wear? We wore robes. We were out there looking like Jedi, right? But you could see the feet because he was in sandals, and his feet were like polished brass. In other versions, in Daniel 10:6, it says burnished bronze, right? Just like in Revelations 1:15, it says, "And his feet like on a fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters," meaning he had a deep voice. And once again, it's burnished bronze in other versions. Fine brass is burnished bronze in other versions. Well, this is the color of burnished bronze, right? This is the color of burnished bronze. Simple as that. Dark brown. Right? So yahawashi would have looked something like this, who the world annually calls Jesus Christ. Right? And on top of all that, I'll end it with also a form of leprosy being white skin, or what they call vitiligo nowadays. This is a vitiligo, also called leukoderma, or white leprosy. See that? White leprosy. An autoimmune disorder that causes portions of skin to turn white and lose their original color. Right? And this white leprosy is in the Bible, believe it or not. Look at that. This is vitiligo. Alright, you can find 3 instances, Exodus 4:6. "And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow." Meaning his hand, he lost his pigmentation. Numbers 12:10. "And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous." So that's an example right there. She became leprous, white as snow. Meaning like this, white as snow. So happened to Miriam. Most High took her pigment. Right? Let's get one more example. In 2 Kings 5:27, which reads, "The leprosy thereof of Naaman shall cleave unto thee, and thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow." See that? White as snow. So that's another form of leprosy. So the Hebrews had brown skin and black hair, and it looked like sheep's wool. That's the end of this lesson, really. Hopefully that was an edifying lesson, right? You brothers can add anything that I might have left out. And if you're not of my nation, then I don't care about your opinion. So you can save it to yourself. So, yeah, I think that was a pretty good demonstration of that. Once again, I think brothers should mention more often that the Israelites did have black hair, right? According to the scriptures. So, anyways, with that, hopefully that answered that question. That's the end of this lesson, Ancient and Modern Hebrews. With that, once again, I'm going to say peace to the 12. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, the Most High, whose name is Yahawah, in the name of his only begotten Son, yahawashi, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I want to say shalom, which means peace to you people listening and learning, you brothers doing this work, true sincerity, and to you elders that's been doing this thing before me. Right? And, yeah, keep pushing this word. I'm out. Gone. Peace. Shalom.